Greetings, everyone. I'm so happy to see you. I wanted to talk to you about education today. And I think there's no better place to talk about it because you are highly motivated. You all need motivated, effective people, and you're all investing in education. You know that from the last year on, my team and me are part of the transformation of the education system in our country, and it's some kind of challenge, so to say, because it's a peculiar system to transform. But there are many challenges that throw quite a wrench in our way. So where we're moving, what's in our heads, what's the vision, what are we planning to do tomorrow, and why it's only possible to do with you. The task that we need to accomplish is only possible to accomplish with you. You've heard about the economic targets, regardless of whether it's 1 trillion GDP or the way I like to dream, at least $30,000 of GDP per capita, so that we are in the top 30 countries in from 15 years, not 100 years, and put Spain down from place 30. In order to do that, we need to build our human capital. Education is the foundation of that, to have human capital. And we need to change the structure of our GDP. If we look at the rapidly growing countries, 2030 by GDP, what's the structure of just GDP? They are all high-tech companies generating high added value, and all these companies need people with certain competences and skills that we need to instill and build with our children: math, STEM, English skills, and many other competencies, depending on profession you choose in your particular country. So we started working on that. We set some targets for ourselves to achieve, so we came up with this vision of the future to explain why we're building a certain education system, what we need to do, what do we need to do at every stage of education. So we started to implement the changes. So now we're rebooting the new Ukrainian school initiative. It's about those competencies that we need to instill in the first place. What do we need to change in curricula, training programs? How do we change the educational space? Because it's great to talk about innovation in such a high-tech hall like this, but whenever you go down to some local schools or academia, you don't always get a vibe that is conducive to new ideas. But it's important to get children to classrooms from online, because it's basically a catastrophe to have COVID hitting just before the war, and they've been learning online for so long, and the PISA rating shows that we're lagging behind all the EU countries, and we need to catch up. So we're working on that. We're trying to make our education less bureaucratic, but then we launched Protecting Ukraine. But let's also talk about what we can do, what's on our minds. So our task now, we've been working on Ukrainian school for some 8 years. And we need to reassess, realign ourselves, what is the meaningful thing for us in education to work on, and so that we, in spite of the war, still would catch up step by step with other countries, with payroll, with salaries, with professional trainings, with individual educational approaches for our children. How do we improve the skills and knowledge in math, natural sciences, English skills, that are important prerequisites for someone to find a place in the new economy. I'm not listing you all the challenges. I'm just saying what I think today would be the most productive to focus. I'm reading currently a book about Han Academy, how they use AI. It's a book recommended by Bill Gates. It was one of the lead prominent books about education. The key idea of this book is that tutors and individual educational trajectory. Whenever there's someone managing your educational trajectory, and you have this group dynamic in class when you're lagging behind 20%, and then you jump to a different class, and then you lag behind them. So there's a gap between the program and your skills. But when there's a tutor who can guide your educational trajectory, it's a great thing to have. But not every country can afford a tutor for each child. And AI basically solves this problem. Khan Academy is probably the biggest academy in the world, and he, as a founder, he was a beta tester of ChatGPT 4. And when he saw that technology, he said that that's a revolution. It's like Aristotle for Alexandria. It's something incredible that will lead our students' educational path, and it's a point of revolutionary growth. So we need to catch up because we stayed offline for online 2 years, more than other developed countries. But thanks to AI and the capabilities we have, I think we have the potential to do it. We will talk about AI much more. For you, I would like you to know that we're working on re-evaluating all the competencies within the new Ukrainian school. And if you have people, I'm sure you have people in your companies who are doing something for education, they could join our work group that is developing new standards and would crash test what's in those programs and curricula. It's about how to teach, what to teach, and how it should look like. Because if you look at our course books now, school books, it's also where we can potentially grow quite a lot. And we started working on keeping together digital and paper books. And it's hardly nowadays relevant with one without the other. There's digital version, and there's paper workbook to it. So we need to update for all of our subjects these course books to attach physical to digital and vice versa. So this is another area where we can cooperate to improve our educational content. So we're now relaunching the new Ukrainian school, how to be more active in using STEM education, using AI, and to update not only the content of education, but the course books that children work with as well. So in this block, that would be the most important. I would also like to talk about our dreams, which also includes AI. I'm going to be moving rapidly. We don't have much time for this keynote speech. So I covered AI. I started myself to test different AI systems. I was shocked to find some Ukrainian-based products. The English school who designed their own AI module, who is great to design educational goals, something that is our national system of education would use much better even. So they set you goals, they help you set goals, distribute time, how much you have to work on what, and then the AI talks to you on a quite high level. I think they used ChatGPT, but it's Ukrainian-based product. I think in all the subjects we will have similar functions in Mria. I was testing with ChatGPT when I was reading this book. I'm still reading it. So I was asking a question to this machine. Please assess my level of English. And it says, I think you have level such and such. And I say, so we start talking about different topics. And then I ask him, what I said before, could you pinpoint my errors? And he's doing that the way no other teacher in school would do that. He would not insult me. He was not unpolite with me. He encouraged me, but there are some criticisms that if you take this into account, it will be ideal. It was great. And I said, wow, what is... So this is all incredible opportunities, and I think I myself come from a small town. I never even had English courses only for 4 years primary school, and then I just skipped it. So the level of instruction and availability of teachers, if you look at rural areas, they're incomparable with cities. So there are gaps in there. So AI potentially can be the tool for us that allows us to deal with these gaps, educational gaps. And I would like to encourage all of you, your businesses, to please stimulate, motivate people more to deal to work with it. Help us, and we will do a board meeting soon of 20-30 IT companies with CTOs, those who work with AI, to for you to share all of our needs, all of your ideas, and we'll maybe start and build new revolutionary products. So let's go on. Professional higher education. I will unite two blocks: professional, so vocational training, and higher education, because higher education is, for us, it's philosophy mostly. So, but there's some suggestion from us. We would like to provide more freedom to professional academia and higher education general. We're doing some things. We're now building about 100 workshops for different vocational training schools and professional colleges all over Ukraine, for them to actually make money while they train. But our task is to give them freedom so that businesses may work together with professional high schools, provide some investment so there's a capacity to earn money, to apply their talents for the students and staff. So the whole businesses, all the businesses who would like to be members of the supervisory boards in this academia, you're very much invited. So let's talk about higher education. This is an important thing for me. This last week we passed a decree, adopted a decree that allows us to elect independent supervisory board for higher education and academia to join the experiment. We're going to be paying donor-based funds. We're not going to be using the state budget. The supervisory board will elect the rector of the university, introduces KPI for them. Supervisory board is elected by the same principles as NABU and special anti-corruption prosecution. The supervisory board elects the rector. It's all online broadcast. They could interview, KPI set, so quite stringent. The university gets more financial autonomy and independence, as with the National Aviation University. They're the first of this project. They don't need to approve their funding with Treasury. They have much more leeway in the process. And we need to put the universities out of the tariff grid. So there's more availability of business in supervisory boards. The supervisory board is not just legalizing the rector of some ancient rector who's just sitting there. It actually has powers to manage the academy and then the transformation of the academy itself. So we unblocked some funding formula. How many students are there? What's your science rating? So it's a complicated formula. We will be improving it. Plus, it's all about philosophy. Sometimes we're lockstep, sometimes we lag behind. We also introduce grants. 500,000 newly enrolled students receive grants to co-fund their training in universities. There was an unfair system. We want to implement the system money follows the student, so that budgetary faculties would not be a race, but a quality selection. So if I would go to Zaporizhzhia National University for sociology using state stipendium, I wanted to go to university in Kiev, but my score could allow me only to go to Zaporizhzhia. And I invested I would rather invest more money and go to Kiev, but I had, for my high score, I would be then reimbursed more money. So the money follows students, and the money will land not only in the private but also state school. I don't know how many new students were enrolled based on grants this year. Many, yeah. So we have a lot. So the model is working fine. Next year, maybe the parliament will help us to scale it up to cover all universities with this model for all professions. And then the universities that are less effective, that are not adapting, they won't be capable of having great students. So that's an organic filtering of effective versus non-effective. So exiting the tariff grid will allow the academia to hire teachers on commercial basis. So it's a bit philosophy. What are we doing? Where can we cooperate? So the key message for me is that there are now 3 universities, we already said that, have joined the pilot project, but we didn't even announce yet, didn't do any open call. We just talked. 3 universities, Zaporizhia National Air Aviation and Transcarpathia University. So we have 3 universities. The executive order is published. We'll do an open call. We create a website for it's like those of you who work in business and entrepreneurs. You remember your high school, your university, and you would want to take care of it, but there was something standing in between on the way, like a wrong model or other factors. Now you can become members of supervisory board. You can elect the rector, set the tasks for the rector, and together commit to develop your university, invest some resources. So as national aviation universities started to transform quickly when they have supervisory board and some freedom, but now in the pilot phase, and it was an informal pilot. Now it's formal, and then it will be translated into the law. Now it's just an experiment. So there are many more things we managed to do, but these are the key important things. We want more financial freedom. We want the management to be committed and responsible for what they declare. We want the money to follow students, not money follows rector who has connections to the Ministry of Education. And then you have much more freedom. You're not bound by programs and standards the way private universities do. So we borrowed this model from Western universities, from Kiev School of Economics. As soon as I was reappointed, and we wrote those functions down, we started consulting businesses to get their needs, and this is where we arrived at.
I would like to explain you a bit why we're setting up Maria. It's another philosophical idea for us. When we think about $1 trillion or $30,000 per person, and the fact that we are lagging behind, that we need to rebuild our system of education. When we think about all of that, we realize we don't have 20 or 30 years because the world keeps developing. It's not waiting for the war to end. In Ukraine, we don't have certain opportunities, so we are changing the standards, and shortly we will change them again. And usually, educators say that we need 10, 15, 20 years to understand what were the results of the previous reform, but we don't have this kind of time, and we would like to see how the innovations influence the current situation. And here's the question: how do we understand what are the real-time consequences of these reforms, how the new standards are implemented, basically any innovation? You need to have a dashboard to choose some criteria to understand how reforms work. Also, if we want to create the fastest education system in the world, that's what we want to do in economic metrics, and we need to implement new knowledge very quickly. Uh, so let's take ChatGPT, Cloud AI, OpenAI, or any other innovation or company. So if we create a modern education system, we need all the educators to be leaders for our children, because a lot of things depend on tutors, on teachers. So our goal is to make all the teachers in Ukraine know what is Lama, how it works, give the content, how to explain it to the children, and then we need to give the children opportunity to review the content if it was unclear from the teacher's words. And we need to think about how it can be done across the country thanks to the new technologies. So we got the idea to create the MRIA product to do everything so that children, educators, teachers, students in Ukraine have this app, and we need to make it valuable for all of them, and we need to explain to the whole nation what this new technology means, how it can be used, and we need to have a channel to deliver this information. On the other hand, we need to have a dashboard to see what changed, what was the progress from one semester to another, what are the grades, where we can find 10 talented students who know how to create a bomb. So we need to find the talents and to understand how our solutions change the situation. We now have a portal, an application, a whole ecosystem. 40 schools are already participating in this project, and I hope we will find more. We will gradually uh, deal with the higher education, and ideally it should be a lifelong learning. And actually it keeps me up for the last two nights, this idea, this book. Just imagine if Maria has a personal tutor who will help you to set educational goals, and knowing your standards, your curriculum, your homework, they will advise you whether you are going the right direction or not. And you'll be able to say to the tutor, sorry, I didn't get anything in this formula. And he will explain you again and again without scolding, without saying that you are wrong, you are bad in these disciplines. They will answer you as many times as you ask. And I think it can become a game changer for us. It can become an answer to the question how to speed up the development of our children. And there are now equivalents. We are currently testing ChatGPT, another well-known French model, and we are feeding this content to the model. It learns, and then we keep testing and improving the quality of the answers of this AI. So if we take all the educational materials, all the manuals from the curriculums, if we upload them to the AI, if we teach the models, if we improve them constantly, we will finally get helpers, tutors in every discipline that will help our children to set goals, that they will help our children to improve their knowledge, they will train them, and it can become a true game changer. So if you already deal with similar projects, you are all invited to our team as consultants to help us implement this project. Because what I found in Ukraine, what already exists in Ukraine, is quite impressive. Okay, this is clear. Here you can find an email address. You can take photos. I will be happy. It will prove that it was interesting for you. Actually, I hope to gather 20 or 30 companies at the IT arena, and there we will have a more detailed discussion. Today we don't have much time, but there we will discuss all the cases where we'd like to use AI, and we will search for architects, specialists, and models for the implementation to become the most advanced country in the world in this direction. And I think we need to implement this. It's great that we have Maria, Dia, we have the platforms where we can test these solutions. And recently I attended Glob SEC, it's the second World Security Conference, and they are actually assessing different cases of AI implementation. And I know some cases when in Ukrainian companies they make people undergo follow the courses of AI, and then they keep asking people, why aren't you addressing these problems with AI? That's what we would like to do. And even when we're analyzing legal acts, we started using AI so that we don't miss any legal act. So we're going to use AI everywhere to create this DNA in our ministry, and then we'll try to implement it to suggest it to other ministries. And we would like any service to be digital, and all the new things will be created using AI, first of all. So we need to create an economy with a high added value, and that's why we need a different approach to education. We need to create the most flexible, the most speedy education in the world. That's why we need new standards, new technologies in the education system. We need every child to have a tutor who will lead them. We need our teachers to be happy, to be energetic, and we would like them to want to implement new technologies. We also need higher educational institutions to have freedom. They need effective managers who will be able to implement changes. So my message today is the words of gratitude to you for great models in your companies, in your institutions. Let's join our efforts, because we have everything to set up the education system I was speaking about. And we have successful pilot projects that prove that not only we can speak about these things, we have great ideas as to offline education. And believe me, it's not a popular decision, but I won't go there. So we